You know those moments when it feels like all the doors are closed, with no way out in sight? Situations where all efforts seem in vain and nothing seems to work? In those moments, it's easy to lose hope, but there is a powerful truth. God is at work. Even when everything seems locked, He has the power to open doors that no one can close. When the path seems impossible, it's the perfect time for a divine miracle to happen. Unshakable faith is the key to witnessing the manifestation of divine providence. In this video, you'll discover how trusting in God can completely transform any situation. Divine answers are already on their way, and the doors that once seemed locked will open at the right time. God never abandons His people, and He is preparing great spiritual victories. To understand how all of this will happen, it's important to watch until the end. If this message touches your heart, share it with others who also need to hear this word of hope. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss new content, and leave a like. If you need prayer, leave your request in the comments as we will be praying for everyone. Now, let's go together to understand how God will open all the doors that once seemed closed, bringing blessings and answers that will completely transform your life. God's providence. God always works in your favor, even when you cannot see what is happening behind the scenes. His providence is perfect, and every stage you face, whether it's joy or difficulty, is part of a greater plan. When you feel like you are in a situation with no way out, remember that God never abandons you. He is preparing the way, shaping your life for a future of spiritual victories and achievements. Unshakable faith is what sustains you in these moments. Many times, what seems like a closed door is actually God protecting you from something that wasn't meant for you. Have you noticed how, after a great loss or disappointment, new opportunities arise? These are the divine answers you've been seeking. And it is in this time of waiting that you need to trust God even more, for He is working silently, opening doors that once seemed locked. Your unshakable faith causes these doors to open at the right time. Life is full of spiritual overcoming moments where you are tested to grow. If we think carefully, each of these challenges brings us closer to God. After all, it is in difficult moments that we seek His presence with more intensity. He tests us not to destroy us, but to strengthen us. When you feel like you can't take it anymore, remember that God is about to act with a divine miracle in your life. A practical example of this is when we face financial difficulties or even health problems. In desperation, we may feel that things are out of control, but it is in these moments that divine providence acts in surprising ways. How many times have you seen people who, in their worst moments, received a divine miracle that changed everything? This is the kind of intervention God does in the life of those who maintain unshakable faith. Just as a farmer plants the seed and patiently waits for the harvest, God also works in your life. He plants opportunities, and at the right time, you will reap God's blessings. You may not see the fruits right now, but don't give up. Have hope in God and trust that He is preparing the ground for your spiritual victory. Divine providence is not limited to grand moments. It is also in the small things of everyday life, in the details that often go unnoticed. A simple word of comfort from a friend, an unexpected encounter, or even an idea that pops into your mind can be signs that God is guiding your steps. When you begin to notice these subtleties, your trust in God strengthens, and you realize that He is always by your side. And now, as we reflect on this divine providence, think about how God is opening doors that once seemed locked in your life. The next step is to understand that when God opens a door, no one can close it. He is preparing a time of provision, a time of open doors for you. Let's talk more about this next. Open doors. Have you ever stopped to think about what it really means when people say, God opens doors? We're not just talking about fleeting opportunities, but about doors that can change the course of your life. When God decides to open a door, no one can close it, no matter how difficult the circumstances may seem. This is the power of divine providence at work. Doors you thought were locked forever begin to open when you least expect it. All you need to do is trust in God and maintain unshakable faith. It's important to remember that often, before a big door opens, we face moments of great struggle and uncertainty. Maybe you are in that exact moment now, wondering why things seem so difficult. But it is precisely in this phase that God is preparing the way for your spiritual victory. He doesn't open doors by chance. Each one is carefully chosen and planned so that you live God's blessings at the right time. Hope in God must be your fuel in this process. Imagine that your life is like a hallway full of doors. Some are locked, others are open, but you don't know which ones will lead to your destination. Now think of God walking beside you down this hallway, opening each door that is important for your growth. He guides you, showing you which doors you should go through and which you should leave behind. The secret here is to trust in God's timing. The door you so desperately want to open may not be ready yet, but believe me, He is in control. A practical example of this is when you receive a promotion at work or a new opportunity arises in your life, something you never thought could happen. These are doors opened by God. But not all open doors are easy to walk through. Sometimes they require courage, patience, and trust. Maybe you have to leave something behind, but what comes next is always greater and better than what you left. These open doors also symbolize divine provision. God knows what you need, and He always provides enough for you to move forward. Whether it's a new job opportunity, an unexpected solution to a problem, or even a person who comes into your life with a divine answer, God is constantly opening doors. You just need to be alert and ready to walk through them. Remember, when you walk through a door that God has opened, it doesn't mean the challenges are over. On the contrary, often the greatest challenges arise after a big victory. But that's when your unshakable faith comes into action. God opened that door for you, and He will continue to be by your side to guide and strengthen you. Trust in God, for He will not leave you alone. Now that we understand the power of open doors, let's dive deeper into the scriptures that show us God's promises for our lives. They are the foundation for maintaining our hope in God and continuing to trust that He has a perfect plan for each of us. Biblical references. The scriptures are the foundation of our faith and a true treasure of wisdom for understanding God's plans. When you come across passages like Jeremiah 29:11, which says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future," it's impossible not to feel God's presence in every word. He promises us a future of peace and hope, even when the present seems uncertain. This divine promise is what gives us the strength to keep trusting that the divine miracle is on its way. In Isaiah 43:19, God assures us that He is doing something new. This passage teaches us to trust God even when we don't understand what's happening around us. Just as He parted the sea for the Israelites, He can also open unexpected paths in your life. Doors that once were locked can open in ways you never imagined. This is the power of divine answers that arrive at the right time, in God's perfect timing. The scriptures are full of examples of how God acts in times of difficulty. Think of Job, who went through unimaginable suffering but never lost his unshakable faith. Despite all the adversities, he continued to trust in God. And in the end, God not only restored everything Job had lost but also blessed him with double. This is the kind of divine miracle that can happen when you maintain your trust in God, knowing that open doors come at the right time. Another example that always touches me is that of Joseph, sold by his own brothers and sent to Egypt as a slave. At first, it seemed that God had abandoned him, but in reality, God was merely preparing the way for Joseph to become one of the most influential figures of his time. Joseph's journey teaches us the importance of trusting in God's timing, even when life seems to be heading in the wrong direction. His unshakable faith and hope in God led him to spiritual victory. And we cannot forget the story of Moses, who, despite many difficulties, was called by God to lead the people of Israel to the Promised Land. God parted the sea so that the people could pass safely, showing that when he decides to act, nothing can stop his plan. Divine providence is always faithful, and this story is proof that we must trust that God will open doors in our lives that no one else can close. These biblical examples show us that God always has a greater plan, even when we cannot see what is happening. The important thing is to maintain unshakable faith, knowing that God's promises are true and that He always fulfills what He has promised. The Bible is full of testimonies of spiritual overcoming, showing that with God, all things are possible. Now that we've reflected on these passages, it's time to look at what it means to trust in God's timing, even when the journey seems difficult. Let's explore how He acts in surprising ways and how we can learn to wait with patience and trust. Trusting in God's timing. Life can be compared to a roller coaster. There are moments when you're at the top, feeling the thrill of victory, and others when you're descending quickly and uncontrollably, not knowing when the next rise will start again. This is a powerful analogy to illustrate what it means to trust in God's timing. Sometimes it may feel like you're descending too fast, without direction, but it's precisely in those moments that God is preparing the next ascent. Unshakable faith is what keeps you steady during these descents. Waiting for God's promises can be one of the most challenging tasks we face. It's natural to feel anxious, especially when it seems like divine answers are taking a long time to arrive. But it's important to remember that, just like on a roller coaster, what goes down will inevitably go up. God doesn't leave you in free fall forever. He is in control of the times and seasons, and every phase of your life has a purpose. Open doors will come at the right time, and it is your trust in God that will cause them to reveal themselves. A practical example of this is when you work hard to achieve a goal, but the results seem distant. Maybe you're waiting for a promotion, for a change in your personal life, or even for a divine miracle in your health. In these moments, it's essential to remember that God is preparing something greater for you. Often the best blessings come after periods of waiting. It is during this waiting time that He strengthens your faith and prepares your heart to receive what is to come. True trust in God's timing requires patience and surrender. It may seem like nothing is happening, but behind the scenes, He is working in your favor. Remember that God's promises are always fulfilled, even if not in the time you would like. The challenge is to maintain hope in God, knowing that He knows what is best for you. This trust brings a peace that only those who truly believe in divine providence can experience. Another important aspect is understanding that God's timing is perfect and our concept of time is limited. What may seem like a delay to us is actually the exact moment in God's plan. He sees the whole picture, while we only see part of it. Imagine you're watching a puzzle being assembled. You can only see a few pieces, but God already knows the final result. Spiritual overcoming comes when you accept this fact and choose to trust. While you wait, it's important to act wisely. This doesn't mean crossing your arms and waiting passively. Keep seeking, praying, and preparing. Preparation is key so that when the doors open, you are ready to walk through them. God is preparing the way, but you also need to be ready to move forward. Now that you understand the power of trusting in God's timing, let's explore how periods of stagnation can be moments of deep transformation. They are not simply waiting times, but growth times. Let's talk about this in the next point. Transformation. Transformation is one of the most incredible processes we go through in life. Think of the caterpillar that seems to be stagnant, wrapped in its cocoon, with no movement, no visible progress. However, it is during this time of apparent inactivity that it is preparing for its greatest moment, becoming a butterfly. This is the kind of transformation God works in our lives. Often, you may feel like this caterpillar, not understanding why certain situations are happening, but God is shaping you for something much greater. The periods of stagnation we face are actually times of internal preparation. God is working on your character, your faith, and your spirit. These are moments of spiritual overcoming, in which He strengthens your trust and teaches you to wait patiently for divine answers. The real growth happens behind the scenes, and when you least expect it, you emerge transformed, just like the butterfly. Trust in God and know that He is preparing you for a future of God's blessings and open doors. This transformation, however, requires you to be willing to go through the process. It's not easy, and it can often be painful. But remember, all growth comes with some level of discomfort. Just as the caterpillar needs to break free from the cocoon to gain its freedom, you also need to leave behind certain things that prevent you from flying. Maybe these are fears, insecurities, or even relationships that aren't doing you any good. When you trust in God, He gives you the strength to break through these barriers and achieve spiritual freedom. A practical example of transformation is when you decide to change your daily habits to improve your life. Maybe you want to start taking better care of your health, read more, or even dedicate more time to prayer and meditation. These are small changes, but over time, they create a profound transformation. This is how God works in us, through small adjustments that ultimately lead to great spiritual victory. The beauty of transformation is that it not only changes us internally but also impacts everything around us. When you go through a spiritual change, the people around you notice. Your trust in God becomes more evident, your words carry more wisdom, and your presence brings peace. God uses this transformation to be a living example of unshakable faith to others. You become a living testimony of what it means to trust in God and live according to divine providence. Just as the butterfly needs time to develop its wings, you also need time to mature and grow spiritually. Transformation doesn't happen overnight, but when it does, it is complete and powerful. God is shaping you to be the best version of yourself, and this process, though lengthy, is a reflection of divine love and care. Keep your hope in God because the transformation He is working in your life will be extraordinary. Now that we understand the process of transformation, Let's talk about the importance of starting anew with confidence, knowing that God has the final word in all things. No matter what you have faced, He is ready to give you a new beginning. Encouragement to start anew. Starting anew can be scary. Often, the idea of starting over is filled with uncertainties, doubts, and even the fear of failure. However, when you understand that God has the final word in all things, the new beginning becomes an opportunity. With every new start, God offers you the chance to walk a different path, a path where open doors are waiting for you. What happened in the past does not define your future, and God is ready to turn your past experiences into steps toward your spiritual victory. Imagine a situation where you lost a job, a relationship, or an important opportunity. At first, it may seem like the end, but in reality, it could be the beginning of something much bigger. God does not allow things to happen by chance. Every loss, every difficulty is preparation for the new that He is about to bring into your life. It is at this moment that you need to trust God and maintain unshakable faith. Hope in God should be your guide, knowing that although starting over may be difficult, it is full of divine promises. What can you do to prepare for this new beginning? First, it is important that you let go of any feelings of failure or guilt you may be carrying. God is calling you to a new phase, and this requires you to leave the weight of the past behind. A good practice is to start each day with prayer and meditation, asking God to guide you on this new path. Remember the words of Isaiah 43:19, "Behold, I am doing a new thing." This verse is a reminder that God is always ready to do something new in your life. Starting over also involves opening your heart to new opportunities. Many times, we remain stuck in what we already know, afraid to try something new. But divine provision is precisely in the things we have not yet experienced. Maybe it's time to seek new relationships, learn a new skill, or even change careers. God opens doors that no one can close, but you need to be willing to walk through them with courage and faith. Starting over is the beginning of a divine miracle that He has already prepared for you. A practical example of this is when someone decides to go back to school after years away from the classroom. It may seem too late, but in reality, it is the right time in God's plan. He gives you the necessary strength to start over with the certainty that He will be by your side every step of the way. God's blessings manifest when you decide to act, even in the face of fear or uncertainty. It is in action that the miracle happens. The most important thing to remember is that with God, it is never too late to start over. Every new beginning is an opportunity to get closer to Him and to live the divine promises He has for your life. Even if you have faced setbacks, know that God is in control, and He has already prepared your future. He is guiding you to a path of spiritual victory, where open doors will lead you to incredible experiences. Now that we understand the importance of starting anew with confidence, let's dive deeper into how God always has the final word and how He turns setbacks into opportunities for His purpose to be fulfilled in our lives. Now that all these truths have been revealed, it's time to reflect. How will these doors that once seemed locked open in your life? Have you thought about how unshakable faith can be the difference in transforming every situation? God's action is real, but you must take the first step and fully trust in His plan. Are you ready to apply all this knowledge and live what God has in store for you? If this content brought clarity and strength to your heart, leave a comment thanking for this message or make your prayer request. We are here praying for each person who seeks divine answers and spiritual victory in God. Don't forget to share this reflection with someone who also needs to hear this message and help this channel grow. Subscribe, activate notifications, and keep walking with us towards more learning and faith.